So by this point, you've already created your masthead and a lot of variations of your masthead. You've also added your magazine deck, the slogan or tagline, to those mastheads just to see how they work out. And you've already planned out what images you may want to use for your cover. So let's go ahead and talk about the image and what types of manipulations you may consider doing. So let's look at the main piece again. So we have the masthead, we have the magazine deck, and now we're going to focus on the image. Now I'm going to emphasize again, the image should not be like this one. Although a lot of magazines will have just a standard model, a main image, something that's a photo, the college is really looking for, and this assignment is really focused more on showing off some of your Photoshop skills. So what we should be working on is figuring out a way to make it obvious that there's been some form of Photoshop. Just going in and making slight color adjustments is not going to be enough. So this is going to be the most dominant thing that's on your magazine. So this is a piece that you definitely want to spend some time working on and making sure that it is really powerful. We want to make sure that there's focusing on your masking, having really clean edges. But more importantly, think back to your planning sheet where you were identifying who is your audience and what is it that would be appealing to them so that it ties in with the general philosophy and style of your magazine. Here are some examples. So we've already done a collage project, kind of a surrealistic collage. You can see that kind of effect, really nice texture and stuff in the background, tying in nicely with the magazine itself. I really like the look of this one. This is a way, and I can show you how to do something like this where you use a mask to create those puzzle pieces. There are shapes already built that have puzzle pieces. So this is a really interesting way to be able to pull this whole entire thing together. It makes you stop and look for a moment like, wait, you get the eyes, but then the puzzle piece is really what helps sell it. That's the part that's been photoshopped. Something like this, the mixture, the contrast between a photograph and then that heavily drawn illustrated look. It kind of reminds me, if anybody's played FIFA soccer on the I've got PS4, that looks like some of the artwork that they use in the background on the 2020 edition. But this is really just a combination of masking out the person and then drawing in those actual mountains and the palm trees and things like that. With this we did a drawn effect in Photoshop early on when we were doing tutorials. This is the similar kind of thing where it's a photograph and it is a central model as the photograph, but really seeing the drawn lines, seeing the color that's been put in there, that's showing off the Photoshop work. Something like this, I showed you guys how to use brushes. This is really using an adjustment layer to change the original photo to black and white, and then applying some watercolor brushes with color on top of it, and then using a clipping mask to fill in color and things into the title. We've done something like this before. I showed off a video with using brushes to create that torn edge effect. That's a really nice way to draw attention to something in the photo. It's an obvious Photoshop job. This is one that a student of mine made it wasn't last year, maybe it was the year before. And it was a nice combination of replacing the background, putting in the baby, changing some of the color. The actual color on this was much, much more vibrant and had more yellows and stuff to the actual suit. So kind of an interesting example for the cover. Definitely see multiple faces and stuff on there. It's an obvious Photoshop job, but it's clean. One of the key things on this is looking at his wild tousled hair, how clean that is cut out. There is a tutorial link that I gave you on doing refine edge. Really nice way to be able to deal with color. Deal with hair. I'm looking at the red. The color threw me for a second. So that is what we're looking for with the actual cover and the Photoshop manipulation. Now, I want to shy away from having you do something like this next one, although it's really, really powerful and really interesting. I really like the look of this, but this kind of thing to be able to create is very challenging. So while the other ones are more focused on a singular image, there are ways to be able to combine stuff together to make it still look good if it ties in with your magazine. But I caution you at trying to do something that's as detailed as this. This is very heavily reliant on more of the topography and less of the actual Photoshop work. But I'm really geared more towards the original ones that I showed you.